Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's been a while and I know. In my last video, I implemented clause 6 to clause 5 of ISO27001 where we talked about stuff like gap analysis, information security, management approval and all that. So if you have not watched my last video, please you can go and watch it before you continue with this one. So in this video, we are going to be implementing ISO27001 clause 6. And clause 6 basically talks about risk assessment, talks about statement of applicability, talks about risk treatment. So we are going to learn how to implement this in an organization and required documents that is necessary for audit. So let's get there. Guys, in our last video, we stopped at clause 5. So in this video, we are going to continue with clause 6. So clause 6 basically talks about risk assessment, it talks about risk treatment, it talks about statement of applicability. So we're going to look at it in depth of it, and we're not going to be learning how to perform risk assessment because I've actually done a video on risk assessment. So if you want to learn how to perform a risk assessment, you can watch my video. I have a video on risk assessment separately because of time, and I don't want the video to be too lengthy. I want it to so that you can take in things and be able to not be tired of watching the video. So clause 6.1 talks about actions to address risks and opportunities. So here you have to talk about the risk assessment plans, how you want to mitigate risk and everything. So in clause 4.1, let's check clause 4.1. I said understanding the organizational context. So after performing your gap assessment, everything, you understand the organizational needs. So this clause 6 has to where you have to check those risks, those gaps that you found. Just when I talked about gap assessment, that if you perform gap assessment and risk assessment, you find out that there's some risks that need to be assessed. It is part of a gap assessment. So that is why you have to perform gap assessment for risk assessment. So for risk assessment, you have to find out all those potholes, more find out this risk, checking the likelihood and impact of those risks occurring in your organization and mitigating it. So that is for clause 6.1. And before you perform a risk assessment, you have to first of all plan it or define the methods that you have to use for the risk assessment, and that is where 6.1 comes in. You have 6.1, which has to do with actions to address risk and opportunities, and 6.1.1 says ensure the information security management system can achieve its intended outcome, prevent or reduce undesired effects, achieve continuous improvement. So the organization shall plan actions to address these risks and opportunities and how to integrate and implement the actions into this information security. So before you start implementing risk assessment, you have to first of all define the plans that you have to perform this risk assessment. And when you are done with how you want to do it, so the document that is needed for it is the risk assessment plan or the method, or you can call it risk assessment methodology. That is the method that you want to use to perform this risk assessment. And this is an example of the document here. So this is the document that you'll be developing that you're going to submit to management. It says information security risk assessment methodology. So these are the table of contents. These are going to be included. It has purpose, scope, purpose of the risk assessment. It has reference documents, has definitions. More you have to define basic terms to the management, because most of them will not know what these basic terms is and how it has to affect the organizations. So risk assessment, risk mitigation, work plan, how you want to carry out everything. So in this place, in this report, when you are developing this report, one of the things is work plan, how you want this is where the organization has to come together to make sure that if this risk is going to impact them, how long. Some people used to be how do I check if maybe phishing attack would be 5, I'm going to rate it 5, 3 or 2. So this is where you guys decide the high impact or low impact of a particular threat or risk with organization. So here it has purpose of this document. I have the scope. The scope you are going to use for for the risk assessment, or like everywhere that you guys are going to like to everywhere that you found gap, or you people are going to like the checking for risk. So it has reference documents. So which documentation are you using for this risk assessment? I see here we are using ISO27001, which is like the framework that we're implementing. ISO27002. You can also like add something like ISO27005, and depending on the location that you are, GDPR and all that. They have like to define basic terms to them, like assets, threats, vulnerabilities, and risk, so that like they will get the broader view of what we are doing. Controls, risk owner, impact, because these are the things that they're going to be seeing these are like things that are going to be seen when they are performing risk assessment. Maybe if you are using like a Google sheet or an Excel like to document those risks, and if management are checking it from this plan or method they're going to be using, they'll be able to like to get like a more view of what you're talking about. Likelihood, so risk assessment, mitigation, and work plan. So this has to do with like how you guys are going to like to use to identify threats and to identify these vulnerabilities. Threat modeling can be maybe interviewing workers or interviewing people that are supposed to like to implement a particular control to know how far they have gone in implementing it, or if they actually like implemented it, or to find out like places, controls that you are not implemented. So the more like like talking about if it's to perform swap analysis, what you want to do to be able to like to find out these vulnerabilities and risk in the organization. So another thing that's like to determine the risk owner. Okay, if you find out this risk is going to like be in charge of mitigating this risk, and control analysis. How you like this is where you can also like talk about how you want like to control a particular risk, or how far you are going to go to in controlling a particular risk. So this way then impact likelihood and risk metrics has to do with you guys deciding on, I've talked about this before, you guys deciding on the risk that you guys are willing to take in, or the amount, or how far you guys are willing to like to accept the risk or to reject it. So this is, or to mitigate it or to avoid it. So this is where it comes in. Then they have risk acceptance criteria, just like I've said. This is where mitigation criteria. This is where you guys have to discuss about it, so that when you guys find this risk during risk assessment, it is something that stakeholders have already like agreed on, and you just have to like to implement or to put it where it's supposed to be. So then the work plan, how long you guys are dedicating to move the work or to do the work. Then regular reviews of risk assessment and work plan. So also here I have set of applicability work plan. So more like you also like talk about how you guys are like willing to like the controls that you guys have, and because you are not going to be implementing the 93 controls in your organization. So this is where you have to like to map out those controls that you guys are implementing, or you guys are working to, or you guys have in your organization. Then this is the schedule, the system development life cycle. So security is not, you can see it says security is not an aftermath. The methodology dictates that a risk assessment must profound a key stage of our system development life cycle, including the design phase before any major changes, prior to the deployment of the new features. So this plan, this risk assessment methodology plan, is more like this throughout its systems development life cycle is more like explaining that it's not just, it has like starts that you are implementing security from the design phase. So not just when maybe the product is live, that's when you start like adding security. So more like you're going to like even start thinking about security and start implementing and mitigating risk from design phase. So then reporting, you talked about people you report to, and validity and document management, who's going to like to manage the document and who's going to like to update and approve of the document. So once you guys are done with this, like a very important phase, once you guys are done with this risk assessment method, how you're going to like perform risk assessment, next thing you're going to do is to perform risk assessment, which we're not going to be performing. I'm not going to like show you how to like to perform risk assessment, because it's something that I have actually done. So I'm going to like to be uploading the link up. So if you want to, like, when you get to this place and you want to like learn how to perform risk assessment, you can like click on the link up to like to learn about it. Then the second one is the 6.2 is information security risk assessment. That's one I will not like talk about much because I have a video dedicated for risk assessment. So click on the video and you watch it. So after the risk assessment clause 6.1.2, the next one is clause 6.1.3. So after performing your risk assessment, the only thing I did not do in that video is to teach how to write risk assessment reports. I don't know if I did something like that. So after performing your risk assessment, maybe use Excel or maybe use any risk management tools out there that you can use to automate risk assessment. You can now write a risk assessment report. Have like a write report of like what you did, what you found, and talk about external context, your scope that you used. Which this scope can also be gotten from the methodology, the risk assessment methodology. It's actually like the same thing. More like scope has to do with like the area that this project or this risk assessment is going to cover. Then criteria, confidentiality, low, how you like prioritize risk, which you also prioritize this risk from what that you guys have already decided from the risk assessment plan. So you write a detailed report of what you found. You can also like use these are like risk IDs, risks that you found, unauthorized access to customer data, like add it. You can also like use like add maybe a screenshot to declare your point or to put out your point very well. So after that is what you have to do for risk assessment. That's clause 6.1.2. The next one is clause 6.1.3, which has to do with information security risk assessment treatment. The both of them goes hand in hand. I don't like to have like a risk assessment treatment report separate, but depending on the size of the organization, which if the organization is big, that means like there will be a lot of risk because the more the organization is growing, the more there are risk. So, but if it's like a small business, a small organization that you can actually like add the risk treatment reports and the risk report same way. But if there is a lot to like talk about in the report, you can like make it a different document. So after finding risk, which this is part of the risk assessment, after finding risk, you analyze it, you evaluate it, you also have to treat it and also continuously to monitor and improve and review it. So this risk treatment, it can be like to mitigate it, to avoid it, to accept it. So it depending on the one, if like the risk is to mitigate it, that means you have to to treat it. So you have to write a report about it. That is for clause 6.1.3. And after that, then we now have point 6.2. But before we treat these risks, before we get to clause 6.2, we have what they call SOP, and SOP is doing this risk assessment in the sense that you have to map out the ISO 27001 ISA controls that has 93 controls, which the 93 controls are divided into 4 categories. They have the technical control, they have the people's control, they have organizational control, and they have fiscal control. So I have just like I've said in the beginning of this video, that when organizations are mapping out these controls, they don't have to map out the same 3 controls. So you have to do what the organizations needs. More like if your organization have people working remotely for them, there's no need for them to add a remote, because there's a remote work control. So this is how but this is just an example of how you can map out your controls. It has to have a reference, control reference, which is coming from ISO 27001 NSA. Let's go there. So this is the NSA. So it has policies for information security. So there's no, as long as you're handling people's information, we have information security. So it's something almost all organizations are going to have roles and responsibilities, segregation of duties, management responsibilities, contact authorities, threat intelligence, return of assets. So there are up to 93 controls to map up with, and they are divided into 4. They have people, technology, and the other 2. So this is example of how you can adjust. But I just made out this example of how you can map out the controls. So it has a control reference, which is gotten from here. Then it has control description. So that's like to describe, this one has to do with policy for information security. Documented policy for information security and topic-specific policy should be defined, approved by management, published, communicated to relevant personnel and external parties. Then we have applicability. Is it applicable? Yes. And who is the owner of this? Okay, JRC specialists have to like develop the policy. Okay, have the policy been developed in progress? Just they have to like add justification for applicability or non-applicability. So if you said that yes, this is applicable, they have to like add why is it applicable. If you say no, if like your organization does not have anybody working remotely, and maybe there's remote work control, so and if we did not add this remote work control, you have to like add it. When it comes to applicable, you have to say no, it is not applicable. And also define justification why this remote work is not applicable, because you guys don't have anybody that's working remotely, because these are like things that an auditor will check when they like come to like to audit if you guys are compliant to ISO27001. So that is how like you have to like make your statement of applicability. So if you're starting out your statement of applicability, I would like advise that you use like a table, use like just like I showed it now in a spreadsheet, so to like to organize them into these columns, like the way I organized it. And also when you are doing your justification, you have to like to include, or you have to like give your reasons for including and your reasons for excluding it. So the other thing is implementation status. Have it been implemented? Is it in progress? Or in progress means that people are working on it. Implemented, people have implemented this. Not implemented, people have not implemented it, and there's no plans to implement it. So these are like things that auditor will check. And if people say that people have implemented it, auditor can also get people have implemented this. Let me see, let me check it out, let me see it. So these are the things that you have to like check. And that's that the statement of applicability has like to be treated as a living document. So it has to be regularly reviewed. If like you add it as in progress, once you are done with the implementation, you add it, you update it to implemented. So it's not just something you just create and just leave it. So and another thing is that once like your company is increased, maybe you guys now have somebody that is working remotely. Maybe you guys added that people don't have a remote worker before, and maybe once the company is increasing, people now had a remote worker. So what you need to also go and update it that people now has a remote worker. So this is you also have to like update it, and that people have like the way like the remote worker was not applicable, not included. They have to like go and add applicable and include any controls that a remote worker needs, or any thing that you think that a remote worker would, if it's like for them to be aware, or in fact for you guys like add that people have someone that is working remotely now and implement the risk that you know that this remote worker will face. So that is for ISO27001. So the next one we have is clause 6.2. After we are done with ISO27001, we now go to clause 6.2. We are done with clause 6.1. So we are going to clause 6.2 now. So clause 6.2 has talks about information security objectives and planning to achieve them. So this information security objective has to do with you have to immediately you are done with your risk assessment and your risk treatment plan, they have to like to develop information objective. So more like it's the information security objective, make sure that your risk landscape, it has to like make sure that your risk landscape aligns with your organizational goals, and it also make sure that it is actually addressing like specific needs. It is actually like addressing the specific needs of those identified risks in your organization. So it also has to make sure that this information objective is consistent with your information security policy. You can actually develop your information security policy for risk assessment. Then after risk assessment, you can actually like go and update the policy. So the information security objective is more like it helps like to prioritize like controls. It's just like you have to like to prioritize like the controls that people are implementing but like which control needs like to come first, which control is the most important, how are we going to like to allocate resources, and what are the plans for continuous monitoring. So more like it makes it easier to like to measure and like to demonstrate like progress. So for this information security objective, it says, be consistent with the information security policy. We developed information security policy in clause 5. So here, you have to like update this. You have seen a lot of risk after the risk assessment. So you have to like update the information security policy. So all the controls have to be measurable. Everything that is in the ISO270, that is in the NSA controls of applicability, has to be measurable and practical. It has to be something that is doable, that people can do, be monitored, be communicated, be updated as appropriate. So more like this information security objective is just like telling people like what you are supposed to do. It's not like holding people accountable. Using it like to hold yourself accountable. So this is an example of information security objective document. So this is here when you see are done, you have to like create information security objective. So this is the objective: strength, improve application security and vulnerability management. It's somewhat like the objective of information security. So is to like to make sure that all the controls, everything that you people mentioned that you are implementing in system of applicability, that everything are implemented. It's not like holding you guys accountable. So you have to like to this document is showing that everything we are implemented, that these objectives were met. So that is for clause 6.2. Then we have clause 6.3, which is planning of changes. When to ensure that meets the need for changes in information security management system, changes shall be carried out in a planned manner. So it is also part of the information security objective. And this is also in this information security objective, part of the controls that you are making sure that you implement is also policy. When Annex A controls are not just only policies, implement controls like firewall, any control at all that you guys identify that needs to be implemented. That thing is policy. And some people will be like, do I need to like develop 93 policies? No, you don't need to develop 93 policies. But how like I will advise you do it is I have something like called policy controls and mapping. So this is like, just like if you see here, organizational control 5.1, overall information security policy. Then 5.2, 5.3, 5.4 has to do with information security, responsibility and duties, segregation of duties can be in one policy. I have to like develop this policy control documents so that when auditor comes, they'll say that this is okay, you joined these policies in one position of having 93 policies. It does not like make sense. So there are like policies that are close to each other, like this. Like let me just say 5.15, 5.16, 5.17, 5.18 talks about access control and identity management policy. So you can name it access control and identity management policy and combine all of them together so that you will not have to have like 93 policies and everything will be in order and understandable, and you still meet your information security management system. So guys, we have come to the end of clause 6. So clause 6 is a lot and a very important stage in actually to 7001 implementation. So in my next video, I'm going to be talking about clause 7 and clause 8. So if you enjoyed this video, do well to like, tell me what you think about it, and tell me about like other things that I missed to talk about or I did not talk about, and see you guys in the next video. Please like my video, subscribe, and yeah, bye.